Well, good evening and welcome to the June 2023 NPU-Y General Body Meeting. We'll go ahead and get started. First, I would like to say thank you for everybody being here. If you have any additional members that are joining on the same call, please make sure that you leave their name in the chat. Any members that are representative of the city or our city council members, please make sure to leave your information in the chat as well. A few housekeeping rules. Please stay muted. If you'd like to speak, please use the raise hand reaction and you'll be called to the floor in the order which you're presented. If you speak out of turn, you will be muted as it is a violation of our Robert's Rules of Order. If you're using your phone, you may use *9 to raise your hand or *6 to mute and unmute. There are also non-verbal reactions that you may be able to use that are at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Also at the end of the meeting, there will be a closeout survey where members may submit questions or comments to the executive board. So if your questions were not answered during the meeting, please use that time to address them to the executive board. We will move to approval of the minutes. Let me get those on the screen for you.
Hey, Nicole, if you're sharing your screen, we can't see it. I don't know if you're
it is it's trying to do it at the moment. So are you able to share it for me? It's my laptop is not giving me permission to share. I believe that is because it's a new computer and I haven't changed the settings for it.
Madam Chair, Gloria.
There you go. Can y'all see that?
Yes, you.
Previous.
So, I appreciate it. So with the minutes, oh, they just went away though.
I know. That was last month's.
No problem. So are there any corrections to the minutes from anybody on the floor? So as I hear, there were no corrections to the minutes. I motion to approve the minutes. We will go ahead and move to the agenda then. The agenda is up. If there is any in opposition, you may raise your hand or speak freely now. All right, as I hear none, we motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda, Rebecca.
All right, is anybody opposed? A unanimous consent? As I see no hands raised, we will approve the agenda. All right, first up is from our city departments. We will have Captain Pettis go ahead first with Zone 3. Commander Pettis, apologies.
No, you're right. It's Captain. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, I have to be quicker than normal because I've got a situation that is unfolding as we speak. So I'm going to give you the stats for May as compared to April. The homicide category, 0 to 0. In the aggravated assault category, we had 12 in May compared to 9 in April. The robbery category, 1 in May compared to 1 in April. The burglary category, 2 in May compared to 6 in April. The auto theft category, 7 in May compared to 6 in April. And the larceny from auto category, we had 8 in May compared to 9 in April. And then everything else that was a larceny, just it wasn't stolen from inside of a vehicle. We had 7 in May compared to 5 in April. for a total of 37 Part 1 crimes in May to 38 in April. Madam Chair, I don't know, are you able to share, or does the pictures from the drug warrant from 180 Claire Drive, or since your computer's acting up, you're not able to?
I am not at this time. If Gloria would like to, if you have them on your computer, you're more than welcome to. Gloria, do you have the ability to share them?
All right, sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm going to try and send them to Heather. I'm having issues as well. I'm going to send them right now if I can to Heather. But if you would go ahead, Captain Pettis, I know you're running, and give us updates on the Kia, the locks that are being provided for the Kias, and any other relevant updates that might flow across.
Okay, so we are battling, I'll call it an epidemic of stolen vehicles like you wouldn't believe. Just this week alone, for the past maybe 14 days, I would normally average about 20 cars stolen. I'm up to about 55. 4 juvenile offenders were released from YDC. 2 of them are on ankle monitors. None of them are currently wanted. It's one of those cases where you know who it is. You just have to be able to make the probable cause. But we've got some other ideas to try to slow them down, but they've just been tearing us up for the past 2 weeks. I know that wasn't the month of May, but this time we talk next month, you'll have a lot more than 9 stolen cars. I want to say that Kias and Hyundais for this month, since June 1st, have accounted for about 85% of your stolen vehicles in Zone 3 as a whole. We are still giving away clubs. My contact information is in the chat. You can email me. We'll come to your house and drop you one off as long as you live in Zone 3 and you have a Kia or a Hyundai. That is the #1 anti-theft deterrent. We've been told by Kia and Hyundai that they are going to start conducting some type of mobile pop-up shop where they will come out to areas around the city of Atlanta. And if you drive through with your Kia or Hyundai, they will put some type of electronic patch or update to stop your vehicle from being stolen. And then they give you a fancy sticker to put on the window that hopefully the person will read before they break your window and try to steal it anyway. That is the latest on the Kia or Hyundai update. I know the Publix isn't on your NPU or within your boundaries, but it is opening tomorrow morning. It is in the old, I want to say, orange lot of Turner Field. It's right there at Hank Aaron near Fulton. I went over and met with the managers today. The mayor will be there at 6:45 a.m. tomorrow morning for the official ribbon cutting. It's a beautiful store. I'm very excited about it. I hope that you guys are too. You can stay in Zone 3 now if you're looking for that better produce, I guess is what Publix has. That's about it as far as updates go. And I can run through this search warrant that we, with our narcotics unit, served at 180 Claire Drive, if you're ready for me, Gloria.
Yeah, I think, Heather, did you receive them? I'm praying that I was able to forward them from my phone.
Yep, I'm pulling them up right now.
Thanks so much, Heather. But in the meantime, can you tell us about what's going on in the village at Carver? Apparently, the epicenter of everything that is Part 1 crimes is the villages at Carver. Can you give us any update on why? And again, apparently at some point there was off-duty APD officers. Why are we experiencing that?
For the same reasons it's been a problem for 40 years since it was Carver Homes. It's densely populated like most apartment complexes, but it's also much larger than most apartment complexes in the city. They house about 2,500 residents. And what really works against us is that most of those people go to the same school. So you've got Carver High School right behind it. You've got, I believe it's Long Middle School right up the corner or right around the corner. So you've got everything that goes along with being an adolescent, teenager that we all experience, plus they're right on top of each other within that apartment complex. So you've got the stuff carrying over from school to the apartment complex, and most of that is gang related things. We had 2 people shot there yesterday. One is dead.
Yes. we
For the
heard.
animal of one of the mothers of a victim that was killed this time last year, is actually on Father's Day last year, was having some type of memorial service, and some people decided to come shoot it up. We've got some leads on those folks. They were from the city of South Fulton. So at least they don't live in the area, so we don't expect any type of retaliation. But
Captain Pettis, the screen is up, but I'd just like to add this. People are very concerned that Integral Group is the developer and is the management group at the Villages at Carver. They're bringing online 200 new builds, and I think there's a lot of concerns about Integral's Group's ability to manage. Again, currently it is the management company. So I put that out there because I think with Integral coming into the community with sensing sessions, that has to be a very strong signal. They're not taking care of the properties currently that they've already developed over the last 2 decades. But with that being said, the images are there and you may want to speak to them.
okay,
On the screen.
yes, ma'am. Thank you. We served a narcotic search warrant at 180 Clare Drive, which is at the corner of Clare and near Olive Street.
Hopkins, sir. It's Claire, not Hopkins.
Clare and Hopkins.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, I just received some complaints from neighbors about this house. And when I sent the information over to the narcotics unit, they were like, yep, we know. Expect something this week. So in serving that search warrant, they seized 12 pounds of marijuana, 13 pounds of mushroom infused chocolate bars, another pound of regular psilocybin, whatever that word is, mushrooms, 40 grams of oxycodone, 5 1-pint bottles of promethazine, which you hear people call lean in the street.
Wow.
Firearms, 3 of which were stolen, and 1 which was a ghost gun, meaning it has no identifiable features. It had no serial marks. Can't tell where it came from. We had over $3,000 in cash seized, 3 people arrested. 1 was a convicted felon with 6 cycles, meaning he'd been arrested and charged with a misdemeanor or felony at least 6 times in Georgia. Another was a convicted felon with 14 cycles, and 1, believe it or not, he was the oldest one. He's born in 91 and he had no criminal history. So it is important, like Gloria said earlier, for you to reach out to me or to Major Ricker with these suspected dope houses or any type of, like I got an email earlier today about a camper, an RV that's been parked on private property, but maybe a health concern for the people living in it. Even if the police aren't the answer, we can figure out the proper people to outsource those things to. So that is it. Unless anyone has any questions for me, remember my information is in the chat. And if you know somebody that needs a Kia or a Hyundai, please shoot me an email and we'll try to come out and bring them one. So if there are no questions, are there any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions from the floor? All right, as I see none, I appreciate your time and thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice night.
All right, as we move to our next, we will hold questions till the end of their comments. Please keep your department representatives to 2 minutes or less. Next up is going to be ATL 311. It's Christine Menard. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Christine Maynard. I am your 311 ambassador. If you need to report non-emergency issues like potholes, water main breaks, missed trash, code violations, or challenges within city services, 311 do offer the 5 pathways to resolution, which is number 1, you can dial 311 on your phone, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 2, you can email us at atl311@atlantaga.gov. 3, you can set up your own account at the 311.com website, download our app, which is the ATL 311 mobile app, or you can chat with us on our virtual assistant or contact us on social media to report any issues. I did place our contact information in the chat, and a survey link has also been placed in the chat as well. I'm also here to answer any questions if you have any, and thank you for allowing me to present this evening.
Thank you so much. Are there any
You're
questions
welcome.
from the general body for ATL 311? All right, as I see no hands raised, thank you for being here. I appreciate all the service that you do for our city.
Thank you very much. My pleasure and our pleasure.
Absolutely. Next, we have Tobe Johnson with the Solicitor's Office. You have the floor. Mr. Johnson, are you still on?
Madam Chair, he's present. He may not be, but hopefully he'll come back. He appeared at Lakewood this past Monday, and I think he's going to give a little more narrative about what he thinks he can offer the community. So
Yes, he's in the chat right now. Just said he'll call back. So we'll move on to the next, and hopefully you'll be back on in just a moment, Mr. Johnson. Next up is Officer Cofield with Code Enforcement. You have the floor.
I'm here. I'm having
Yeah.
trouble with my camera, but I am here. I don't have very much. Let me see if I can get this camera. I don't have very much for you. I can't see myself. Okay, but I'm here. So what I wanted to mention, I have a lot of cases that are dealing with overgrowth on the property. So anything over 12 inches, that's what we take care of over here at Code Enforcement for housing. Now, as far as I have a lot of open and vacants. So if you all can, I don't want them to stay open. So if you all can give me a call, shoot me a text, hey, this house is open, and I can try to get to the owners as soon as possible instead of waiting to go through 311. I can actually create a case, but I like for you all to create the case, but kind of call me and be like, hey, this door is open or the house is open. So I'm getting a lot of open and vacant properties. So anytime you want to call me and let me know, say, hey, it's an open and vacant over here. I can go over and kind of placard it if I need to, or I can get into with the owner a little bit faster, because most of these are kind of on a list and they may have had a previous case, and we can kind of call the old owner, or it may have went through a new owner. So just let me know if you want to call me and make a case. Just say, I made a case, but I want you to go over there and check. So that's it for me. Anything else? I see 2 hands up.
Yes, if you are done with report, we will go ahead and move to questions. Randy Veal, you have the floor.
Yes, Officer Cofield, could you tell me if there's a case for 209 Hilltop Drive?
I think it is, and I think I did go there, 209 Hilltop. Okay, I think so, but I will definitely put it in the chat if it's not.
This is a guy, he's running a car repair shop out of his driveway.
Oh, wow. So that could be partly me, and that could be partly zoning if he has if he could operate out of his single family residence. So you have 2 people that could be involved in that particular case. Not just me. I could come there and placard the vehicle, but you may have a zoning issue as well, as far as, hey, is he operating
Well, how should we proceed? I mean, he has probably about anywhere from 7 to 8 cars at a time. He parks a couple of them on the street, and the rest of them are filling up the driveway that he's working on.
The
Randy,
ones that are on the street go for the police. The ones
Well,
that are
but they have,
in the
if they have a
driveway.
tag, if they have a
Excuse
tag,
me, So if for the sake of time, let's go ahead and just jot down 209 Hilltop Drive, and we will get in contact with all of our representatives that would be for zoning, as well as Ms. Cofield, so that we can coordinate.
Okay,
We have a lot to go through for this meeting, okay?
yeah, all right, thank you.
And just, if you can make sure that your information is in the chat as well, and that way we can coordinate everybody, okay? Thank you, Randy. Next, we have Russell Hobson. Do you have a question?
Yes, what is the best way to address the squatter situation if you can't contact the owner?
You can definitely report it to us. More than likely, it may be like some junk, trash, and debris on the property. You can report to us, but as far as a squatter, I would suggest you calling the police. We're not coming out to remove, but what we will do, we will, if there's like junk, trash, and debris, overgrowth on the property, if we send an officer, or if I come out there and I see all of that, definitely I'm gonna address those situations. And it takes maybe about a couple of days, and I'm gonna alert the owner that, hey, your case came in as squatters on your property, but this is what I found, which was junk, trash, and debris and overgrowth. So they will be notified some way through me.
We can also get Pad connected as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Heather Graybill.
Officer Cofield, I followed up with you again on an email thread today, but I've been trying to follow up on a junk vehicle case since July 2021 that hasn't been addressed. And so I sent you an email last month and you didn't reply. So if you could just reply on that, that'd be helpful. Or
You send me an email?
Yeah, I sent you one last month, and then I sent you one 3 hours ago on the same thread.
Okay.
If there's somewhere else it needs to be routed, but it's junk vehicles on private property. So I'm pretty sure it's you.
Okay. Thank
Yep.
you. I'll look at my emails.
Thank you. Gloria, do you have a question as well?
Yes, sorry. God, what was my question? Oh, the squatter. As you heard Captain Pettis allude earlier, he was sent a file. The issue is the address is 208 Claire Drive. The problem is the squatter is living out of an RV, no facilities for et cetera, and the adjacent neighbors feel that everyone is at risk because the squatter is a proverbial squatter who is currently in Superior Court on fraud charges as a result of having tried to acquire the house. So the address is 208 Claire Drive. I'm going to send you, I'm going to forward photos of the location, et cetera, but it's clearly as much a health and welfare issue as it is anything else.
So if I want to put my hat on right now, I did address that earlier today. I did placard the vehicle. They have 30 days to move it. Now, as far as us and our towing, we're a little bit behind, but it has been placarded. It will go over to the police for them to actually move it within 30 days. It may take a little bit longer, but we can kind of see. So I did put it through research as well to try to find out who the actual owner is of the vacant lot. And it had junk, trash, and debris and overgrowth on it is what I wrote it up for, and the vehicle parked on grass. So if you go by there, it's my orange sticker has my name on it.
Thank you, Officer Cofield.
ma'am.
Again, we will go ahead and put this in an email as it is for, not for the general body. So are there any other questions for Ms. Cofield? Well, thank you, Officer Cofield, for being here, and I appreciate it. And we will get you a couple emails sent out with some of this information so we can address this over the next month.
Awesome. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. So we will go back to, we had Tobe Johnson, the solicitor's office. You may have the floor.
Hi, good evening. I spoke with Ms. Hawkins earlier, I think last week, and she said that there were a number of nuisance situations that you guys were concerned with. Please contact me and let me know about the gas stations or whatnot that may have high crime, or that there may be some activity that causes danger or nuisance. Also, any if you see any houses that look dilapidated or look like they're not being maintained as they should be, just send me an email about that, and I will have the people from our housing look into that. And we also have a dedicated team that is covering the nuisance actions. So those are things we're trying to clear up and clear up a lot of this blight around the city. I think I've been on the meeting a few times, so most people know about the programs that we offer at the office, such as various diversion programs for traffic offenses, as well as for some of the city ordinances or the minor quality of life crimes that we are tasked with prosecuting. Does anyone have any questions?
Are there any questions for the solicitor's office?
Madam Chair, just wanted to quickly thank Solicitor Tobe Johnson, and I think that I'm going to send him some information in the chat. I referred, in fact, I sent you the email and I CC'd Captain Pettis. We think that is probably one of the most compelling issues of nuisance issues in Lakewood. Amongst many. I sent you that earlier.
Okay, you sent me an email earlier?
Yeah, and with photos.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Yes, emails work because I can get back to them. And if I don't circle back, reach out to me and we can go through it, okay?
Thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, we just have a lot of things to do around here. I'm still at the office and I was talking earlier or trying to talk earlier on a computer that we have in my office that's very outdated. But I've been here since about 8 o'clock this morning, and I'll be working even after the meeting's over. So,
Well, thank you so much for your dedication. As there are no other questions, I appreciate you being here this evening.
pleasure to be here.
So last we have Officer Lawrence with the City of Atlanta Department of Public Works Suite Team. Officer Lawrence, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a couple of things to go out this evening. First, we are on 1-day delay as it relates to collections due to Juneteenth holiday yesterday. So we will be collecting through Saturday this week, and next week we'll go back to normal as usual. We're still on the bi-weekly collection of yard trimming, this week being the on week for collection. The only way you will not get collection for yard trimming is if you have over 20 bags of yard trimming or a large pile. That has to be scheduled through bulk. So that has to be scheduled, even though it's out doing the collection week of yard trimming, the crews will not collect it if it's bulk. So you have to go through 311 to schedule. Also in this area recently, I've had 2 concerns that has been they've been coming in the complaints. One being the containers again at the curb outside of the scheduled collection day. I know it seems minor, but it is a violation. We try to take several steps to educating the residents as well as the owners, but if we are unsuccessful several times, this can lead to a citation. So please pass the word on and just move the containers back if it's outside your scheduled collection day. Second thing being, once bulk is scheduled, it has to be placed out in a certain manner. So if it can't be leaning on your mailbox or next to a utility pole, because it's not, the crews are not using their hands to pick those items up. They're using a machine, which we call the claw. So they have to have the space to be able to maneuver around. So they have to have that space. So make sure it's not near the pole or your mailbox so it won't be damaged. Other than that, at this time, I don't have anything else, but I'll stand by for questions and concerns. And I'll also put my information in the chat.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Officer Lawrence? As I see no hands raised, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
You too. All right, next we'll move to comments from elected officials. I did not see any in the chat, nor do I see any on the participants list. Are there any elected officials or the representatives available? All right, as I see none, we will move on to our committee reports. First up is our or firstly, I would like to say, please hold all of your comments and questions until the end of all committee reports. And please limit your committee reports to 2 minutes or less. Thank you. First, we have our zoning, land use, and code enforcement. Bob Morris, you have the floor.
Oh, sorry, guys. We were having some computer problems. I'm in the car and it's in a thunderstorm. I hope you can hear.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. It is crazy here. So thank you. Jacob, please feel free to chime in. There were 3 items that primarily were discussed in the zoning committee this week. They will be matters for voting tonight, so I won't go into lots of detail, except to tell you that zoning committee did vote on all 3 of those. One is a proposal to eliminate minimum parking requirements rather in the BeltLine overlay. The zoning committee voted to not go along with, not support that proposal. There are 2 other proposals that are being made. One is to deny building of any service stations within the BeltLine overlay, and another is to prevent the building of any drive-throughs in the overlay. The zoning committee was in favor of both of those proposals. We can give any more data that you might like when it gets to the voting matters. There is an SAP that came through Chosewood. Jacob, do you want to talk about that one?
Jacob is not on the call this evening.
Okay, then that one will be coming to the NPU, I believe, next month. So we'll talk about it then. That's all that I have, Nicole.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sorry for the thunderstorm here.
That's okay. Please be safe. All right, next we have our transportation and public works, Jeff Delt. All right, moving on to public safety. Gloria, did you have any additional comments from after?
No, Madam Chair, but because Jeff is not present, I don't know if we have consistently apprised the general body of the transportation survey, which I would like you to take an opportunity to reiterate that survey and post it in the chat, if you will.
Certainly. So Jeff and I worked to send out a transportation survey, which was primarily directed towards improving our sidewalks, walkability, as well as our lighting for public safety and pedestrian safety along our major corridors. Most of this was sent out through the email as well as through our social media. So I will go ahead and find that and put that in the chat for everybody as well. You're able to make comments on there as well as upload images. So if you find specific locations that need improvements, you can add a photo of that for them.
And may I just add to, I think the belief is that this will provide the empirical data that we can take to Winston and Lewis. And again, along with the images, we think with this money that's coming through, we have a higher probability with, again, in your face images of, sidewalks that are missing or no crosswalks, that it's an invaluable tool. I've shared it with the Atlanta Planning Advisory Board members, and again, the end game is to get it to our elected officials to see where the money is.
Yes, there's multiple departments that will be working together to coordinate, as it's not just our elected officials that handle sidewalks. So are you set to move on then? Okay, so next we have our Parks, Beltline, and Environment. Rebecca Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening. We have another volunteer session coming up in South Bend Park this Sunday from 9:30 to 12. Please come out if you can. And if you know of a social or work group that would like to participate, I'm happy to coordinate. I'll leave my information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is our Education Committee, Monique Nunley.
Hello, everybody. How are you all doing tonight? Thank you so much, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. This is my final month as the chair, so we are accepting nominations. If anybody's interested in being the chair of this amazing committee, I would love to have more conversations. Please email me at nunleytm@gmail.com. I'll send my email out. Last month specifically, I know I wasn't here, but last month we were able to host a parent session learning about at Atlanta Public Schools Insights data. So you can learn more about our schools. You would go to APS Insights in order to learn about the information about how our schools are performing and comparing schools to other schools to see how they're performing. And this year, our data will be released in October, November, so we can then look back at insights to see how our schools are performing at post-pandemic. So I think that'll be really important to keep track of that information for parents and for community members. We also got a chance to talk with Katie Howard, our council board member for District 1, and she hosted a listening session along with Chairperson Isha Collins in May at Carver High School. And it was a really great listening session where we were able to share what we would like to see in the Carver cluster. And we heard from a few students who said they want to see more programming in order to make us a choice-filled school. We want to have enrichment opportunities, more rigorous courses. Carver High School has implemented 6 AP courses this year in addition to the ones they already had. So we'll get to see how they performed in last month in a few short months, and we can ask for that information. Seeing that our schools have implemented some more rigorous courses, which is brand new to the purpose-built school model, which we learned from the new CEO that is with us, and me and the chairperson went to speak with him, and he's interested in coming to speak with us in our July or August meeting. So you'll get more information about the new CEO of Purpose-Built Schools. And so in the month of May, we had a lot of meetings with important people to learn about a lot of things. So I'll sum it all up to say, we need to hear from you. We heard a lot and we're able to interface with a lot of decision makers at the school board level and the CEO of Purpose-Built Schools. We've been able to start having those conversations. But that question was asked of us is, what is the vision we see for our community? So if you want to be a part of that conversation, you'll receive a survey over the next couple of weeks. And we would just like ask for you to share some of your visionings so that we can share. And my last statement is that the board chair and the school board has voted in the retreat to not extend or renew the contract for the superintendent, Dr. Herring. So again, all of these things have implications for the 2024 beyond the 2024 school year. So I want you to kind of think about that as well. Is there'll be possibly new leadership after the 2023-2024 school year. All of these have impact whether you have children or not, because your schools impact your property. So I want you to kind of keep that in mind for parents and non-parents. We need all voices. So you'll receive a survey. Please complete it for the rest of the month of June and July. We'll be sending this survey in lieu of meetings, so there aren't any meetings. We'll just be sending out surveys, getting your feedback so that we can share that back with our current superintendent and the new CEO of Purpose-Built Schools. So please get involved. And send me an email if you want to do this work deeply in the ways that I've enjoyed doing for the last 6 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you so much for staying on for 6 years in this position. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Pleasure's all mine. If you have questions, shoot me an email or text. I'll put my number and email in the chat.
Thank you. Next we have is our bylaws committee, Russell Hopkins.
And Hobson, we are, bylaws times is coming. Nicole's been on me. Pardon me, I'd like to get something positive done while these meetings take forever. And what I will say is that there have been some new information coming down to kind of maybe help refine our bylaws. But I think it's important to kind of infuse the mandates from the city with the voices of the people. So I'm going to once again leave my email so that if anybody wants to work on these bylaws before we bring a revised copy to the body, please get at me. I have, about 20 years of knowledge that I want to incite, but I also want to make sure that we run more smoothly and effectively. So I'm going to make myself available. Nicole's been doing a good job of staying on me, and I got to do a better job of replying. But the time is now to make these changes. So that's all I have for now, but I will be available.
Thank you. Next is our Lakewood Oversight Committee, Yolanda Cameron. All right, moving on to the Lakewood Finance Committee.
Madam Chair, I don't think Jimmy is present. I don't think Anika is either.
I am here.
Jimmy is there.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Jimmy Moore. I'm on the Lakewood Amphitheater Finance Committee Board. We will be accepting applications for the second quarter up through the end of the month, June 30th. I think, yes, June 30th. All of your applications have to be postmarked by June 30th. We will have our next meeting the third Wednesday in July to review those applications. So if you are considering submitting an application, needs to be done by then. And we will have our meeting in July. If you have any questions, feel free to just reach out to me in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is our APAB.
Oh, very good. Madam Chair, I had my hands up earlier. I just wanted to compliment Monique and tell her that my understanding is the Carver cluster graduating early college received 6.2 million in scholarships is what I kind of learned vicariously. And my understanding is Mayor Franklin and CM Winston and all those folks were celebrating. And I think the theme song was level up, which which I guess indicated, but yeah, 6.2 million. APAB, we've got some great things going at APAB. First of all, Heather Graybill, our recording secretary, has been named to the TADAC. She's a APAB representative to TADAC, which is the BeltLine Advisory Group. APAB is an acronym that stands for Atlanta Planning and Advisory Board, and we are an advisory arm to the city of Atlanta. We appoint to 3 quasi-judicial bodies, ACRB, LRB, and ZRB. All of those are fact-finding, decision rendering bodies, but we have a number of appointments. TADAC is one of those, absolutely much more of an advisory. We also have from the Southeast Quadrant now a new representative to ACRB. She could not come on this evening. Her name is Adrienne Proler. She actually lives in X, but she will be responsible for quarterly reports on the Atlanta Citizens Review Board, which many probably have seen has been pretty high profile in the media with a dispute between the Fulton County Sheriff, who is, again, so it's been a dispute, it's resolving itself. However, Adrienne is that appointee. She's going to be coming in. She cannot make it tonight, but again, that is probably the greatest gift of the Atlanta Planning Advisory Board. Although we are a policy agency for the city, we appoint to a number of boards, and those boards are representative of the Southeast Quadrant, as well as the remaining 24 NPUs. We also are expecting still in our planning for our Why It Matters Award. It's an annual event whereby we ask the community, and we have selected our Dr. Troy Nunley, who has served us faithfully for the last 2 years. We, as a body, a few months back, selected him as the awardee. It is someone who has provided exemplary service to the community, selfless service, and as a result, you can see the fruits of their labor, which I think we will all admit. There you are.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And congratulations, Heather. We have now our Special Projects Ad Hoc Committee, Alira Lofton.
Hello, everyone. Give me 1 second so that I can share my screen so everyone can see our flyer there.
Yes, we can.
Can you see it? Okay, perfect. All right, so for the updates for Unity Day, we officially have council members Antonio Lewis and Jason Winston confirmed to attend. We have paid Amorous Tacos to provide free food to the first 200 NPU-Y residents who attend. And we will have various options. There'll be shrimp tacos, chicken tacos, and vegan tacos. We have sent out social media kits to all NPU-Y neighborhood leaders. NPU-Y neighborhood leaders to start posting about Unity Day on their various social media accounts. And so far, I've seen NPU-Y, Councilman Lewis, Ali at Lakewood, Omar, and Lakewood Heights posting about our event. And I just want to close with, please tell all your neighbors about the NPU-Y Unity Day, and we look forward to seeing everyone there.
Thank you so much. So next up is, next we move on to any questions for our committees. Are there any questions from the general body? Heather, you may have the floor.
Hey, Rebecca, you had mentioned in the Lakewood meeting that the South Bend cleanups were going to be bi-weekly. Is that the case still? And if so, how many weeks or months do you expect those to continue?
Well, actually the short change grant, we have to finish it up by the end of September. So the dates do get a little messed up in August, and I don't have them in front of me, but for the next throughout July, it will be every other week, July 9th, and then I believe the 23rd. Same time, 9:30.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, next, Kelly Petty, you have the floor.
Hey, thanks, Nicole. I just wanted to follow up on what Alira said and just remind everyone, please come out. Alira is doing an excellent job with putting together this event. And we want this opportunity to be a way for us to really show our council representatives that we are a strong and active community and we're ready for positive change and development to come to our area. So I know I see on here about 42 people. So if everyone, even just on this call, can make sure to mark their calendar for Sunday, August 20th at 2 p.m. to show up and bring a +1, we've got at least 80 to 90 people. So please make sure you come out. Please make sure you mark your calendars. Check NPU-Y's Facebook, check your community or for your representatives, your community's Facebook and social media to find more information. But please come out because we're really wanting to put together a really great program and really have a strong showing of our neighborhoods, our collective neighborhoods. Thank you, Nicole.
Absolutely. Yeah, the committee has been working very diligently to find lots of food options, fun games, and entertainment for, it to be a family-friendly event. So please do come out and connect with the resources that will be provided there through our Fulton County officials and through our city officials, as well as through your various members of NPU-Y. Gloria, you have the floor.
I just want to piggyback on what you just said, Kelly and Alira. Absolutely phenomenal work by phenomenal people. It's an inaugural event and it will be our first. We're expecting, I think we're projecting a minimum of 400 attendees. Lots of vendors and network. Fulton County, as you all saw last month, has agreed to come in through Natalie Hall and provide all of her resources. I'm very excited to tell you that my ACRB, my board is expected to come in and we're going to bring our mascot, who is the crime crusader. I cannot tell you how delightful it is to have you all become anticipatory regarding this. And it's rain or shine, inclement weather, we're going to take it inside. So it will take place, and we hope that you will feel the spirit of what's happening in the Southeast quadrant.
Absolutely. Thank you. Are there any other questions for our committees? All right, so we move on to voting matters. First, I'd like to remind everybody that NPU-Y recognizes residential constituents as a person 18 years of older who our primary place of residency is within the NPU-Y designated area, or business constituents, which is a representative of the business organization or institution which owns property or has a place of business or profession within the NPU-Y designated area. So if you are a business constituent, you may designate one representative who is entitled to only one vote for the business. Our first item up, I do have a hand raised. Letitia?
Hi, yes, thank you. Before you voted, I wanted to just, if I could, talk about PAD. I didn't want that to be.
Absolutely. Sorry if we missed over you.
No, that's okay. Excuse me. So PAD is an agency that works with 311. So if you call 311 option 1, you'll get PAD. And we come out and help people or help divert people from whatever the issue is. Let's say there are, like the squatters, for example. We can come and just offer them services so that they have a resource that's something else than jail, to really offer them the services that they need to see if we can help them with whatever is going on in their lives at that point.
And then I want to be at this specific NPU meeting because we are actually moving to the Lakewood community on July 1st. We'll be in the old Chris 180 building, 1700 in Lakewood. And we'll be offering direct services there from 9 to 5. Our diversion hours are the same as 311, which is 7 to 7. But our direct services is 9 to 5. And we do advocacy in the jails, in the courts, and meeting people literally where they are. So it's a little bit about Pat, and I'll put some information in the chat along with my information and how you can refer people to us.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Pat, for Letitia? All right, as a scene on, thank you for being on. I apologize for skipping over you.
No, totally fine. Thank you.
All right, so to voting matters. Our first voting matter is going to be zoning legislation Z2322. Heather, if you don't mind sharing the agenda on the screen again.
Yep, you guys are gonna get my note version because I can't that well, but
sorry. So the Z23-22 is an amendment. It's the legislation for BeltLine overlay district regulation, and this is to reduce off-street parking and loading requirements so as to require no minimum amount of parking or for other purposes. Now, the zoning committee did discuss this, and they did vote on a recommendation, which was to deny this legislation, as they felt that there were complications with how the people would be able to use the BeltLine in our area, as we don't have massive public transportation as other areas in the city have, which means that as you have many of these people coming into the area to use the BeltLine, they're going to be parking in residential streets. You also have issues where their apartments are being built and are taking advantage of the reduced parking and are using streets that are not designed to have street parking, and which is also causing some traffic issues in the areas. So the legislation does favor the developer, not the communities, which is a derivative of the quality of life of our communities. I would like to open the floor for any discussion and comments. Russell, you have the floor.
I just wanted to move to support the ruling of the zoning committee. But if I'm sorry, I'm always trying to, I'm sorry. I'm just want to vote to move to support.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to support the zoning committee's recommendation to deny the legislation. Do I have a second?
Second, Rebecca.
All right, seconds. Okay, whoever's okay. Good.
So please remember that if you have more than one person on your Zoom and they will not be able to vote through the poll, so please put their vote in the chat. The motion on the floor is to deny the legislation of Z23-22 to reduce the minimum parking.
so if we're voting no, we need to vote yes.
Correct. Yeah, so if you want to deny the parking, you are voting yes. If you want to approve this, you would then go with no.
Madam Chair, because I'm hosting, I'm gonna orally tell you I'm
You
voting.
can place it in the chat though, please. That way there is a record of it that I'm able to count later. But yes, I do have your vote then. All right, we'll leave it open for 10 more seconds. I do see some hands raised. Rodona, you have your hand raised.
I was voting.
Are you voting to deny the legislation?
Support the motion.
To support the motion? Okay.
And again, Madam Chair, the motion is to deny the legislation. Is that correct?
And the motion is in the chat for people that need to reread it.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the chat or close the vote.
Nicole, this is Bob. Just in case it didn't come through, we didn't see the poll on the phone, but both Suzanne and I are voting in favor of the motion to deny.
Okay, thank you. Is everybody able to see the results? Or is it not showing still? So the results are 15 votes for yes, 2 votes no, and 1 abstain. And then we have what is in the chat? Gloria, are you voting to fall no?
The vote is not in favor of the legislation to reduce minimum.
So that would be a yes.
Yes, it's a little confusing.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No. But my answer is no to the legislation that wants to reduce minimum parking. That's my response.
Based on the chat, we have 6 additional to approve the denial of the motion or of the legislation. So I think it should be 21 to approve.
Okay, so 21 yes, and there are 2 no's and 1 abstention. So motion carries. Thank you. Jacob, you had your hand raised. Would you still like to speak?
No, Madam Chair, there was I didn't have the poll that came up, and that was me just raising my hand to vote to support the motion.
Okay, and we do go through and we make sure that the vote is accurate based on the eligibility. So if there is any miscount here, we will guarantee that after the meeting. All right, the next legislation to vote on is Z23-23. This is also legislation based on BeltLine overlay and district regulations. And this is to prohibit use of and structures to prohibit the addition of new drive-throughs and drive-in facilities within the BeltLine overlay district. The zoning committee and the executive board voted to recommend the approval of the ordinance, as this would limit the use of fast food drive-throughs or other similar facilities.
Madam Chair, point of order, there's a message in the chat. The poll was not available to at least one individual, and that just kind of came up.
And Paul, what is your vote? The poll does go up to all screens. Did you not get a pop-up on it? If you'd like to put your vote in the chat, that'd be great. All right, so moving on to this next legislation. So this legislation is, as I said, to restrict and prohibit drive-throughs and drive-ins. I open the floor to comments and questions.
Madam Chair.
Gloria, you have the floor.
What was the finding of the committee?
The committee voted to approve the ordinance to recommendation.
And to deny, again, the ordinance denies, I believe it is, I'm sorry, what is that ordinance deny? Something, again, would you repeat what the denial is?
So 23-23 is the prohibit the addition of new drive-throughs or drive-in facilities within the BeltLine overlay district. The executive board, as well as the zoning committee, voted to approve the ordinance, which would prohibit the new drive-throughs or new drive-in facilities.
Yes. Yes.
Russell, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I'd like to move to support as a slate the finding of the zoning committee and the executive board on the next 2 items, including this one. With a brief description of the second, motion that you also decided to approve.
Yes. All right. So before we get a second on here, the brief description of Z23-24 was BeltLine overlay and district regulations as well. This is prohibiting use of structures to prohibit the additional of new service stations in the BeltLine overlay district, essentially gas stations, the tire shops, any sort of automobile service stations. So the motion on the floor is to slate vote 23Z-23-23 and Z-23-24 as a yes approval for, based on the recommendation of the executive board. Do I have a second?
I did. Second, Rebecca.
Thank you. Let me just change the poll real quick so that way this represents both.
Madam Chair, you may want to explain to some that may not understand the concept of slate. You may want to explain to them what that concept is.
So we are voting on these, both of these as one. So they will be both voted as a single vote. They are both then a yes or a no or abstention. If the slate vote has too many abstentions, then we will separate the vote. So this is to approve the legislation based on the recommendation of the general body and zoning committee. Sorry, the executive board and the zoning committee. And please, if you do not see the pop-up on your screen, please leave it in the chat. We absolutely want to make sure everybody's vote is counted. Okay, a couple more minutes, we'll leave it up. All right, I am closing the poll. All right, so the poll results are 18 yes in the poll. If you are not able to vote through the poll, please make sure it's in the chat. There are 0 no and 0 abstentions. So in the chat, I have
We have 2 additional yeses from, or 3 additional yeses. So that would bring us to 22.
Thank you. So 22 yes, 0 no's. Oh, sorry, 0 abstentions. So the motion carries to approve the ordinances Z-23-23 and Z-23-24. All right, moving on to the next items. I do appreciate doing a slate vote so we can go through this a little bit quicker. So next we have old business, which we have none up. Bob, you actually have your hand raised. You may have the floor before we proceed. Bob,
Sorry, Nicole. It was raised by accident, sorry.
That's okay. So as we move on, so there were no old business. So under new business, we do have, it's a matter for voting or for review and comment. There is a development that it will be proceeding on Boulevard, which is an NPU-Y. This will be including of on-street parking. It is 18 for sale townhouses. So it's very similar to the communities that they already have along Boulevard, except for the on-street parking, which was a concern of the executive board and the zoning committee. We will drop in the chat the screen for the legislation for it. Sorry, guys, I'm not able to share my screen as I normally would for you. Would make it much easier.
If you drop, is it in the folder, Nicole?
It is, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the chat as well, separate.
Share my screen. I just don't know what it is in the folder.
It's V-23-070-79.
It's a non-voting, Madam Chair.
It is. It is just for review. So it's just to be able to share with everybody.
And will you please kind of explain again why, that would come before us for review?
Yep, so it's in a proximity report, proximity area. So this is right across the street from Chosewood Park, which is NPU-Y. And so on the other side of Boulevard is going to be NPU-W. This is, they're asking for setback reductions because of the type of lot shape. The biggest concern of the community that has viewed this so far is only the on-street parking. So you scroll all the way down to where the lot is, you can see that it is an oddly shaped. So if you look at the boulevard, this is facing north, is going up. You have your townhouses along the front facing a boulevard, and then off of Francis Avenue, which is on the north side of the property. There would be no drive on that side due to a fire hydrant, as well as the size of the lot. So your drive is coming in from Boulevard. In order to have additional parking spaces, the developer has chosen to have on-street parking with complete streets coming through in the next year. This seems like it may be a complication and a safety hazard for pedestrians as well as drivers. Do we have any comments or questions as we proceed? This does not go to a vote. This is just for a comment and for a discussion. And we may submit any sort of public comments to the SAP process, or you may also email myself or our executive board to include in our report.
Madam Chair, does this go to the BZA? Is that where this is headed, or the board?
It would be, I believe it is. It's a SAP.
All SAPs go to the BZA?
I'd have to check this, what this looks like. Give me 1 second. Let me see where it goes.
I don't know. Like a developer could just say, I'm going to take one of the lanes of Boulevard.
Hey, Bob, you are not on mute.
So sorry, my true feelings are coming out. So sorry. Well, there was one of the comments, I guess. So sorry. Thank you.
Gloria, I'll have to look in a second. It goes to the BZA.
No worries. But this is in NPU-W. Is that what it is? Is the adjacent?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct. So they will vote as they would traditionally do in any NPU. Because of the proximity, we are able to view and comment on it, but we have no vote.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if I have no questions or comments on this, we will go ahead and move on. If you do have any additional questions or comments, or would like to submit any information that you have about this, please feel free to email me and we will include it in our report. Next up is our announcements. First, I would like to have our NPU treasurer position. Unfortunately, Jimmy Moore is moving out of NPU-Y. He has informed us that he will be moving at the end of the month. So per the bylaws, he will not be able to serve on the executive board. We will be opening nominations which will be voted on in our July NPU-Y general body meeting. In order to make sure that we still have somebody as an interim position per the bylaws, the chair position would traditionally select an interim treasurer, who Paul McMurray was on our executive board meeting and graciously volunteered and was nominated as well from Jimmy Moore. So if you are interested in being the treasurer, please put your nomination in. We will be voting on them next month. Until then, Paul McMurray will be our treasurer at the end of the month. And I would like to say thank you, Jimmy, for serving us so well for the last few years. Next, we have our bylaw amendments, which will be due September 30th. Bylaws are due to the City of Atlanta DCP on September 30th, and they are adopted in January 1st. So these bylaw amendments, as Russell Hopkins discussed, will be next year's bylaws. So Any suggestions that you have, please make sure that you email Russell or myself, and we will work towards putting together new bylaws for a vote in September. And then let's go ahead and move on to our presentations, unless anybody, sorry. Does anybody else have any announcements for this month? I know, I see everybody in the chat. This is very sad to see Jimmy leave.
I think there are a few announcements. I don't have the correct dates, but Lakewood has a few items that we're planning. One is Lakewood Day. And then subsequently in July, I think it's the 19th or the 20th. I don't know if the dates have been fixed, but we're also a visioning session similar to what took place earlier this late spring. But Heather may be able to give the dates, but we're looking for a number of participants, both, and we're inviting DCP and some of the other allied city agencies to come in and see what we're planning and to see how they can support. But I don't have the dates. Do you, Heather?
I'm happy to speak to it. So the Lakewood Visioning session is going to be July 19th from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Lakewood Church of Hope. It will be a hybrid session. And then Paula dropped information in the chat earlier, but we're doing Lakewood Day again this year, which is July 29th from 1 to 5. And a big component of that is doing a school supply drive. So there's an Amazon store. I'll redrop it in, but we're planning to help distribute goods to all the students in the communities. So if you're interested in helping purchase some school supplies, you can do that via our Amazon drive, and there'll be more information if you want to buy stuff down the road.
And Heather, that will be at the gazebo, right? That's where we're planning
That'll
to
be
have.
at South Bend Park. Yep.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Monique, you have the floor.
Hey, I just want to reiterate that school starts August 1, and we will be sending out a survey. So stay tuned so that you can just let us know how you're feeling about our schools and things or programs you would like to see in our schools, so that we can share that information with our Atlanta Public School Board, as well as our superintendent, as well as our new president of Purpose Built Schools. So please stay tuned to actually take that survey so we can share that information with all stakeholders.
Thank you. Any other announcements from the general body? Gloria?
Yeah, the National Night Out, it comes up, it's generally the first Tuesday in August. It is a national registration of communities. I do not believe we have planned a National Night Out event in NPU-Y. In times past, we've had it local housing as well as the Ali Event Center. It's also at South Bend, but what we're hoping will happen this time around is that we will, I think it was Windsor Dunbar Center that had the event last year, at least the bigger event in the Southeast Quadrant. Again, it's an opportunity to meet Captain Pettis, Major Ricker, to meet the cadre in person. We eat kind of fellowship together, but you get an opportunity to have personal engagement. And some will argue that the personal engagement adds to ready responses and kind of a familiarity with the constituents that they serve. And again, that's National Night Out. We still have next month to get you more specific information as to what the list of venues are. And again, the National Registry is going to send me the list of Southeast registered venues. But again, we want to fellowship with the Zone 3 Command. Those are the individuals who support us every day.
Thank you so much. Any other announcements? All right, we will move to presentations, and we have our Purpose-Built Schools, Mike Davis, who is the new CEO. Mike, you have the floor.
Awesome. Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question. How much time do I have?
You have time.
Oh, excellent. Good evening, everybody, residents of NPU-Y. I appreciate the opportunity to stand here before you and introduce myself. As I mentioned, I'm Mike Davis. I'm the new CEO of Purpose Built Schools. I'm super excited to be in this role. I'm 6 weeks into my role. I started May 1st. Previously, I was the Chief Impact Officer for Sheltering Arms. And prior to that, I was the former Chief of Staff for Fulton County Schools. I had a presentation that I wanted to share with you, but yeah, I'll go ahead and share my screen and just share a couple of slides just to tell the purpose-built story. Can everybody see these slides? Not? Yes. Okay, good deal.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Monique and Nicole. I had an opportunity, like I think my first week or second week on the job, to meet with them and introduce myself and just talk about the community. And I want to reiterate Monique's message in that we are seeking feedback. I'm in the listen and learning mode of my time with Purpose Built, and so I want to hear what our schools need to be for the community, so that we can act accordingly. And so, just real quick, for those of you that don't know Purpose Built Schools, we are what's considered a partner to Atlanta Public Schools. And so, about 7 years ago, we had the opportunity to work with Atlanta Public Schools to operate Slater Elementary School, Luther Price Middle School, and then Carver STEAM Academy. And so our mission is to cultivate student skills and agency in pursuit of their unlimited potential. The vision for our work is very simple. We graduate empowered change agents who create positive, long-lasting impact in their communities. And so I want to skip down. Part of why we are working with APS schools is that once upon a time, these were some of the most challenging schools in the district. And so what I'm happy to report is that over the last 7 years, we've had an opportunity to really change what's happening in these schools. And we're seeing the fruits of that labor. We're rapidly improving our educational outcomes for students. We're still not where we want to be, but that is we're getting there as each year passes. But one of the things that's really special about what we do is that in addition to the funding that we receive from APS, the same as every other public school in APS, we also, over the last 6 years, have invested over $20 million in programming, be it after school programming, summer programming, to ensure that our students in this community have access to some of the same resources and programming that their more affluent peers have in other parts of the city. So we're really excited about the work that we're doing. And I'm just going to skip down. One of the things, again, that makes us really special are the partnerships that we have. And so we do a lot of work with the Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation. And they work with us to support families' needs as it relates to housing and other legal issues. We work with an organization called Chris 180. And they essentially are therapists. Their therapists work on site at our schools and provide services not only to our students, but also to our staff. And that's something that we are going to continue to be really big on, is providing for the mental health and support and mental health and wellness of not only our students, but also our staff. And then currently this summer, we've partnered with Horizons. And so we have about 250 students between our elementary and middle school who are participating in the Horizons Summer Camp. And we do that in partnership with the Carver Y. And we're really excited that we're able to leverage the resources that the Carver Y has in providing these much needed activities and sports and enrichment for our students.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, that's time.
Okay,
right.
if you have 1 minute to wrap up. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm good. That was more than I expected. And so again, just very happy to be here. I did drop my information in the chat earlier, and I'll do it again as soon as I wrap up. And so again, I want to encourage everybody to share when Monique sends the the survey out, please respond with what you want to see, because we want to make sure that we have programming for all the students in our community. And so thank you very much for your time, and let me know if I can be of service to anyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to open the floor for any comments or questions for Mike Davis with Purpose-Built Schools. All right, as I see no hands raised. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. As Monique said, we had a great meeting with Mr. Davis and discussing the progress as Purpose-Built Schools would like to stay connected with our community and what our community can do for Purpose-Built, as well as what Purpose-Built can do for our community and our youth. So we will be working hand in hand with Mr. Davis as he transitions into his new role and throughout the next year, in order to really build on what foundation has been set and growing the school system that we have in our community. Thank you for sharing your information on there. All right.
Madam Chair, one quick question for
Yes.
Where is the enrollment at this point? Where are you all in terms of what your standard is and where you are now?
Yep, great question, Ms. Hawkins. We're anticipating enrollment of about 1,100, almost 1,200 students across our 3 schools. We're expecting at Carver STEAM about 440 students. This year already, we have 120 students who are what we consider pre-enrolled for the incoming freshman class at Carver STEAM. And this time last year, we had 10. And so we're super excited. And really what that is, we're just being really intentional about spreading the word about all the great programming. Monique talked about this earlier, like the AP courses that we were able to add. 2 weeks into my role, I had an opportunity to accompany students to Mobile, Alabama, as part of a program where they're actually building a plane. And so they had an opportunity to go to the Airbus facility in Alabama to see the factory where they build the big boys. And so just trying to be really thoughtful about the work that we're doing. And like I said, making sure that we're meeting the needs of all students.
Absolutely. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much for joining us and introducing yourself to our general body. I do appreciate you being here. All right. So that is it for our presentations. Up is our planners report. Elizabeth, you have the floor.
Point of order, Nicole, I think we have one presentation on the agenda for Carrie's Closet of Georgia.
Okay. It's not on mine. I believe I must have the old agenda. Please proceed with the agenda as it follows. Carrie's Closet, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. My name is Mamie Harper. I am the founder of Carrie's Closet of Georgia. Does everybody see my screen?
We do.
Yes. Awesome. With that, my intern was on, she did have to leave. But I'm the founder and executive director of Carrie's Closet in Georgia. And our mission is simple, is that we impact the lives of Georgia's children through direct service and advocacy. And so what does that mean exactly? We serve youth with clothing. We are a clothing mobile closet for those in need. We serve predominantly youth, but we have served unhoused persons with our hygiene kits, seniors with diaper, adult undergarments, and anyone experiencing clothing poverty. Atlanta does a good job of talking about shelter and food, but we don't talk about adequate, clean, hygienic clothing. We operate in 4 counties, one of them to include Fulton County. North and South, so let me say that. So far within our 5 years of existence, we served over, I will need to change that number to 9,000 youth, but 6,000. And within that 6,000, you're talking about roughly 2,000 being within Fulton County. And so we collect donations and goods from the community, and we put it back into our community, traditionally with DFACs, early learning centers, domestic housing, low income units, we come in and we offer clothing and hygiene products for free through pop-up shops, which is our mobile clothing closet, which is what you would see, emergency kits, and Kinship Christmas. And Kinship Christmas is when we support our grandparents who are taking care of children who are not in custody or in custody of DFACs. We have not had any from this unit, which is why I want to make sure that we're here. And we're also working for the Foster Child Bill of Rights, which is our advocacy portion to make Georgia 17th state to articulate outlines and protective guardrails for those children that are in state custody. I did want to exit and just let you all know that we are here to service the community. And our main way that we're trying to support is just through our pop-up shops. And we do not charge our families or anyone who gets items. They are free to the public because they were donated free to the public. I must say they are gently used or new clothing, but all of our hygiene products, from diapers to pads, tampons, toothpaste, toothbrush, underwear, those are packaged and new. Tomorrow we'll be going to Bedford Pine, which, excuse me, I'm learning the NPUs. And I feel bad because I know Russell and Monique on here that's doing the work. I do believe they are NPU-A, and we've been working with them for the past 2 years. So we are reputable. We have been a State of Hope site for Georgia DFACs in 2021. And so we just want to see how we could partner and service those families in need. I'll put my information in the chat and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. And I would like to say that I believe NPU-Y would love to host a donation, event for you in our communities, if that would be of benefit to you.
Yes, especially with some of these diapers and hygiene products. So I'll make sure to really leave my stuff in the chat to
Yes,
include
please.
the website. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? I have Ms. Williams, you have the floor.
Oh, I just wanted her contact information to know how we could donate clothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I feel like all of our community would love to help and support. Any other questions? I have Gloria Hawkins. You have the floor.
Yeah, I was just going to tell Ms. Harper that when you say that, if you say Old Fourth Ward, most of us know where Old Fourth Ward is. That's where Bedford Pines is. So yeah,
Gotcha.
congratulations. I feel you very much. And I hope we are able to satisfy something as basic as clothing and toiletries. So very much.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? All right, as I see none, thank you. I do appreciate you coming and presenting your organization to us. And as I said, let's work together and schedule a donations a date for our community to help pitch in. Let's see here. All right, so that is it for presentations. We will move on to our planners report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Elizabeth Clappin, planner for NPU-Y here. Thank you for voting on our zoning matters. We appreciate the votes, all recorded. I, of course, will put my contact in the chat. The only other announcement I have is that this Friday in the Old City Council chambers, the City of Atlanta Department of City Planning will be holding our Design Awards, which is an annual event, including our Community Design Award winners, which I know the NPU did vote on that, and you had nominated community advocates in your area. So this is open to the public. Everybody is welcome to come. In addition to the awards and the presentation, there will be food. So just wanted to pass that along. It is this Friday, the 23rd in the Old City Council chambers at City Hall here in Atlanta. So anyone who would like to come out, celebrate some of our great community projects is welcome to attend.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I do see your hand raised, Gloria. You may have the floor.
I forgot to put it down, but it might be a good reminder of the body as to who our nominee is for that design.
For the design award, I believe we did Botanica.
Correct, yes.
Botanica on Prior Road, yeah.
Yes, thank you. So we have all of the NPUs do submit in their own vote, their own nominations. So we did make sure to submit ours. Any questions for our planners report for Elizabeth? All right, as I see none, I do have one final announcement. I will be out of town as of June 22nd to July 5th. We do have Gloria Hawkins and Heather Graybill, who is on our executive boards. They will be managing our point of contacts for our secretary, NPU-Y@gmail.com contact. So if you do email us, please make sure that you are CCing the NPU email if you are trying to contact me directly. We also have Bob Morris, who will be handling all of our zoning contacts. So if you have a zoning issue or a code issue, as he is also the co-chair of our zoning board, please make sure to CC him as onto any of those emails, or you may CC the secretary email for NPU-Y. That is all. So I will motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we will do a voice vote. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 All right, thank you guys. I appreciate everybody coming out. And if I have not responded to some emails, I will get back to you guys. I do apologize for not getting on those this weekend for you. So I'll make sure to get those before I leave town though. You guys have a great evening and thank you for joining. If anybody wants to stay after, we always have our post meeting
No, it's called after party.
or after party.